Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about spiritual warfare. I have another channel on astrology and a Facebook page on prophetic writings, which you find in the description box below. In this video, God has guided me to talk about the previous topic, namely how you relate and you work with your ancestors. But God asked me to give a specific example so the topic will be better understood. The example I will give is has been revealed, exposed through my own spiritual fighting. So I will only share those parts of and that information which is guided by God to be public at this point in time. Although my research is much broader than what I will expose and share with you. So to sum up, the previous message is that namely you work with your ancestors according to different type of criterias. You will have a broad variety of ancestors, yeah, from different races. I explained already as you come into incarnation as a decision of your own race. If you ascended, you are already ascended, then you are part of the divine lineage, part of God's lineage. Yeah. However, there are many different races representatives which are part of God's lineage. Now you will have ancestors from divine lineage who come from various types of races, and you will have ancestors from your own race. You see, there's distinction. So for example, your Pleiadian, you have ancestors who are Pleiadians, and you share with them a sacred secret knowledge pertaining your own race, and that is related to a specific type of spiritual purpose, specific type of weapons in terms of spirituality, and when you come into incarnation at a specific strategic time when that type of weapon is necessary in the spiritual warfare in 3D. Okay, you will also have ancestors from other races. For example, even if you're Pleiadian, you're going to have Pleiadian ancestors, but you're going to have also ancestors from Sirius. Those are different type of ancestors, and you share with them different type of spiritual work. Yeah. But the issue on which God wants me to focus in my messages at this point in time is that everybody should be focused on identifying their own race and the ancestors which are from their own race, and to learn specific information, sacred, secret knowledge related to their own race identity. As I said in the previous video, if you're Pleiadian, you work with the element of fire. And there are specific sacred, secret knowledge related on what the element of fire can achieve and how you work with that. This is extremely important in order to be successful in achieving your goal into 3D and your contribution to the spiritual warfare and confrontation here. And God asked me to give you one example. As I said, I will share some information from a broader topic of bondage breaking, and I will only share what God guided me to share. Namely, there's been, of course, everybody knows, the two world wars. Everybody is aware of the legacy, at least the one that has the narrative that was described in 3D regarding the Nazi system, but also the communist system. Yeah. Now, God asked me to share the information which I discovered through my research for bondage breaking. Namely, I will give you one example so you understand how this was played, this issue of race and lineage was played in order to steal rights from people. Yeah. So God has shown to me there are a number of royal houses. Royalty means that you are bestowed by God with the divine right of leading people. Yeah. So royalty, it's a matter of race, of lineage, of bloodline, of soul lineage, and so on. It's a much more complicated and complex issue. But it suffices to say there are a number of royal houses in the world bestowed by God with the divine right to lead people. Within those royal houses, there are only certain people, certain royalties, which actually had the right to succession, basically to wear the crown and to actually lead people, not just be part of the royal house, which entails much more than just being crowned. But from the entire blood family of the royal house, there are only a few individuals who actually had right to succession to the throne. Yeah, it was in this context, basically, that the Nazi system and group of individuals came into being. And as opposed to the narrative which was presented into 3D to all of us in history books, God and my work with God in bondage breaking revealed that these individuals who created the Nazi system literally were individuals, servants, who worked in for the royal houses. So they literally were servants to the royals, working for the royals. They were organized and led by certain individuals, members of the royal houses, who didn't have the right for succession. And because they didn't have the right for succession, they figured they can create bondage on their siblings with a divine right for succession in order to take power from them, to take the crown for them, and to take material advantages, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So this is how the Nazi system came into being, literally. Yeah, there are individuals who worked for the royals, servants in the royal houses, which were organized and used, manipulated and used, bribed, if you want, promised rewards in order to come together, organize themselves as a political party, and do work in convents in order to steal divine rights for leading people to the crown, the succession to the crown, and also to steal material goods, of course, properties, houses, money, luxury life, so on and so forth. Yeah. So this is one important revelation. Another revelation has been, namely, that the communist system came into being from individuals who were used by Nazis. So the Nazi system created the servants in the royal houses, created different groups, gang-stalking groups, if you want to imagine nowadays. The mafia gang-stalking group, which works for the convents, came from normal people not coming from royalties, just normal individuals without being part of a royal family or working for the royal family. So the servants to the royals gathered together a number of individuals willing to carry out criminal activity, and this is how they created the communist system, and of course they organized them also in political parties and so on, all of them working in different convents and different organization, practicing religious spirituality and all sorts of occult practices in order to do this and to carry out. But this is why, for example, you have the Nazi party so focused in pursuing the Aryan nation, which they described as being the purest one. When they refer to that, they refer to the royal blood and the practices which they experimented in concentration camps were basically focused exactly on this, on how to create strings and to harvest energy from those who actually were from royal house with divine rights. So these other individuals who would now impersonate them and steal their identity, becoming doppelgangers and copycats and so on, not only get to steal the succession right, but also to harvest energy from them in order to be able to continue to carry that crown and lead the royal houses. Yeah. And this is why basically God has shown to me, this is why at the end of the day the Communist Party was the one who had the determinant role in destroying the Nazi party, because at the end of the day this is what happened. It was only that was the critical moment when the communists turned against the Nazis. And God has shown to me basically is because the communists knew the secret of the Nazis. They knew the practices they carried out in order to steal divine rights for crown. So they already knew how to fight with them, first of all. And this is also why God has shown to me, this is two issues are resulted from this. One is the nationalization policy, namely where they took all properties and belongings and they literally said, you do not have right to these properties and these rights. This will be shared by the large public. And God has shown to me, although it might seem crazy to many, but actually they did have logic in this, because they knew the Nazis were only servants in the royal houses and they stole that from the royals. This is why they said these properties and these divine rights don't belong to you. It was not because they were crazy, it because they knew that they did together ritualic practices to steal those rights from royalties. So it's basically they turned against each other after they have done all of that together. Yeah, but the communists, as opposed to many others, they knew the secret. They knew that the Nazis practiced, created these convents and created all of these bondages in order to steal something which did not belong to them. So they were very entitled to say this doesn't belong to you, because they stole that together, basically. But also God has shown to me, this is also why the very a huge emphasis on a specific narrative which imposes to everyone the idea that race doesn't matter, and that if you are looking or noticing at a specific, that somebody is from a specific race, this is illegal, this is criminal, this is discriminatory, but they only do that because they want to discourage people to actually focus on their own race and to learn. And they keep saying, we are all the same. You are not all the same. And you should put down only those who use the racial discourse in order to create harm onto others. But looking at the race and being proud of your race, it's nothing wrong in it. But God has shown to me, they created this discourse not because they cared about liberating people of color, and no, that is not true. They created this because God showed me this was their main weapon, how they took down royalties from the throne and how they stole succession rights, basically creating bondages in such a way through their convents and their targeting programs in order for them to be dissociated and blocked from reaching from their ancestors from the same race. Coming back to the initial message now. So I said the ancestors which come from the same race with you have very valuable sacred knowledge, which they will share only with you, nobody else. But is vital information in spiritual fighting. You must work and elevate to fight, reach to your ancestors from the same race and to learn information, because only then you will truly understand your purpose, and then you will actually do work, divine work in 3D with God and with your race, with your ancestors. God has shown me in my broader research actually many alliances made between different races which work together, and this is much more complex than just this. For now, this is the message God wants everybody to hear, though, namely that at that time when they stole succession from crown from royal houses, this is how they stole it. This is how they disempowered royalties with succession rights, by blocking their path to their own race. So they will not be able to learn that secret knowledge, which was actually the main purpose why they came into 3D. And it's extremely valuable in the progress of humankind. Yeah. And if, for example, if there is nobody from that race that elevates high enough in order to learn that information, those ancestors will not share it with anyone. So we return to the message related to the sinking into darkness of the humankind and being discarded from earth. I mean, this is really serious matter. This is not just something light discussion and just to feel good about yourself, about elevating and stuff. This is really vital information that individuals must reach, and they must learn and work with their ancestors. And they, again, might have different type of ancestors. You might be in contact with some ancestors, but it's important if you're in contact with the ones from your race, because this is from them you will receive the information which it's tailored your own gift and the purpose of your own presence in 3D. Otherwise, of course, we can all together be spiritual and elevated. But do you reach to the proper ancestors in order to learn the proper information so you can actually reach your own individual purpose? That is the question. And again, God has shown to me that many of these narratives have been created on purpose in order to preclude you from achieving that. And then, of course, all of these spiritual organizations, all of these convents and all of this, they have all these wrong practices which push you into addictions, literally in order to block. It's if you take one by one the practices they teach you in those organizations, they only have the purpose to block you, not to help you. And I haven't been a member in them, but God has shown some of them to me during my work of bondage breaking. When I couldn't understand why some individual is doing something, God will show me because he's in a huge deception. Look what they taught him. Look what they told him. And sometimes I ask God why they believe this. God will show me the type of energy we run on in order to believe. Some of them because they're just greedy and they want shallow fame, because they receive support for being promoted in different positions or receive money or properties or stuff. But the most important focus now is the wrong practices. And I'll give you just one example. I said already that in 2018 June, when the surprise attack was launched at me, I at some point panicked. So I figured I need to speak with somebody in 3D, to look in somebody's eyes, so somebody will explain to me what is going on. And I already explained in another video that I went to the church, and the church recommended to me to go to a certain bioenergetician practitioner. And that individual said only stupid stuff to me, among which he told he was practicing Reiki. So he said, you need to learn some Reiki. So come to some of the classes here. He was not teaching the classes. There was another group of people there. And I went there just a few times in order for Jesus and God, Jesus mostly actually, to expose to me what was the bondage that individual, the bioenergetician, made on me, a spirit attachment. So this is why Jesus allowed me to go there, in order to confront them and to cut off strings. But during those few times when I was there, they were teaching Reiki, you know. I never knew about all of this. And they were showing how to cleanse chakras on yourself or on others, you know. And then when I was done, when I exposed and cut off the attachment that individual created on me, and I understood why Jesus told me to go there, afterwards I came back to my own home, and God came to teach me energy healing. And basically God showed me, he taught you exactly the wrong way. Basically that individual was teaching everyone, not just me, everyone in the classroom, that you do energy healing from crown chakra to the onwards, chakra by chakra, yeah. And God has shown me that's the wrong thing, because you put the dark energy down to the lower chakras, and there is no way for transmutation from there. So they do this on individuals, and then they teach them sexual practices to eliminate darkness from the lower chakras. But that only pushes them into addictions. I explained in the video where I talked about this, that this individual told me the same. He told me to take Reiki classes, and he also said, you know, these are demon attacks which are related to sexuality, so you have to make sex. And I said, yeah, I don't discuss this with people that I don't know. I just met you, and I'm not interested that any kind of entity or dark entity or demon will dictate to me what to do in my sex life, because I don't know all of this. I don't have knowledge. This is what I said. But I follow God and Jesus, and there is logic that I will not follow what the demon says. What do you mean that I have to do this because a demon said so? How is it logic that you follow what the demon says? Where would you lead? Where would this lead you? So God showed me they were doing this on purpose in order to block, because if you are in alignment and you cleanse your chakras properly, namely going from lower chakras towards the upper chakras and transmuting through the crown chakra towards divine realm with God, then you become in alignment, and then you receive information from your ancestors, from your divine team, from God, and so on. This is why this is not a mistake. They do this on purpose in order to block communication. Now I went into another topic. The point is, all of these organizations are teaching everything wrong. Everything that they teach is wrong. They only leave some sort of information which might attract individuals. How to how they call this? How to do projections? How to enter somebody's mind? How to do telepathy? But all of these are artificial telepathy. This is not acceptable practice. This is also something very wrong. You're breaking extra rules. You do that artificial telepathy on somebody. Telepathy comes natural when you're on the same level, first of all. Second of all, in order to reach to somebody else in realm in ethers, you have to ask permission. You don't just start contacting and doing things to other people, even if they are not on the same level as you, by using all sorts of dirty tools. And I'm not entering into that. But what I mean is, people need to understand that all of the practices, although they might be appealing because they give you some immediate results, some immediate experience in astral dimension, you must understand that they pull you into darkness. First of all, because as soon as you break astral rules, you already open yourself to darkness, because you're an outlaw in astral, and darkness knows that. So the darkness attaches itself to you. You lose divine protection when you do that. It's not allowed. All of these individuals who do energy harvesting, they need to know, as long as you do this, you literally open yourself to darkness. But aside from this, people need to understand that they only tricked individuals to do this, to deviate you, to take you away from the right path. And the right path is for you to do your own research, to cut off all of this darkness, which we're not discussing how you enter into it by free will or being deceived or whatever, but you need to cut it off, and you need to understand that the path ahead for you to elevate spiritually is to find your ancestors and your full divine team, to understand which race you come from, to understand what is your particularity related to that race. Each race with different element, nature, for example, has different individual. This is why it's a different race, because it does something differently. It has a different purpose than the next one. Yeah. So you must learn about that. Of course, you will have bondage to break from all ancestors, and again, you are connected to many races, not to just one. Particularly if you are in or are supposed to be in a divine couple with somebody from a different race, even more so. But what you must understand is your path is to elevate it through the ancestors from the same race as you. You will break bridge for all your ancestors and for everything that is connecting you to them. What you receive from the ancestors from your own race has a unique value. And I just described in the video how much harm has been done in the world only to hide this secret, and only to pull you away from finding out the secret. 2 world wars, the most bloody experience in Europe, at least, of the Nazi party and the Communist party. And I explained the story of how they came into being, and how they worked together and then one against the other, which I discovered in my own spiritual fighting. And of course, this is extremely important to understand, that if anyone went to this extent, to this length, to do so much harm to the humankind, in order to preclude you to reach to this path, to this information, which you will receive from your ancestors from race with you, then you must understand that this is extremely valuable information. Nobody would have done so much harm in the world just in order to preclude you to reach to this information. Yeah, you will be very surprised. Learn about yourself and about your divine rights as you walk this path. Yeah. So I think I conveyed the full message. I explained both about the Nazi system, which was created by the servants, which were working for the royals in order to steal the royals, and to many of them becoming doppelgangers, stealing identities, stealing all sorts of possessions, divine rights, and so on. They work together with some members of the royal families, but who did not have succession right, and this was their main target, to steal the succession rights, and to elevate in terms of power above their ranking. And then again, I spoke about the communist system, which was created or was a wing of the Nazi system. The individuals which were recruited by the servants of the royals, and who worked with the servants of the royals in carrying out ritual practices to create all of this and steal all of these. Literally, the communists turned against the Nazis, and this is when the divine rights which were stolen from the royals started being negotiated, bondages started being negotiated and sold in contracts, and so on and so forth. Most of these individuals who created all of this mess were not punished, judged, punished in Nuremberg or any famous trials. Most of them got away, and they carried out their life, continuing the same practices and creating the very convents in which your generation became a member of. Just so you know. I'm going to stop here. This was the message, and also God is pointing out to me that, of course, this is already known that both Nazi and communist systems used technology to torture individuals in experiments in prisons, in concentration camps, particularly to create this type of targeting, gang stalking type of attack, which is carried out to this day, by the way. And basically the neural links and technology being launched on Halloween this year literally is one of those machines and technological advances being used in order to do all of this mind programming on individuals, energy harvesting on individuals, by using technology, by using this kind of machines which actually interfere with your frequency, and they drain you and they torture you. They literally, they can destroy you. They literally can destroy you. So I hope nobody is taking this lightly. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna stop here now because it's already 33 minutes, and I think it's gonna take some time to upload. I hope the message is clear. In just a few words, seek to find your race, seek to praise your race and to understand about your race, and then seek to work with your ancestors from your own race. What are the secret information which will help you to achieve your individual purpose into this incarnation. Yeah. Okay. If you have questions, please let me